Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to see about WSL. Why WSL? In the growing technology space, all developers and DevOps has to work on widely used operating systems like Windows and Linux. So we have to set up two different machines in general to do our work. But using virtualization technology like Hyper-V, Windows made it possible on a single machine. Microsoft added a feature called WSL on Windows to provide the capability for the developers and DevOps to run Linux environment on the Windows machine itself. So what is WSL? WSL stands for Windows Subsystem for Linux. This helps developers to run Linux command line tools, utilities and applications directly on Windows machine just using the bash shell. Windows file system can be accessed from this Linux environment which was bought by WSL. There are a couple of things we need to take care before setting up the WSL. The first thing is to make sure Windows subsystem for Linux feature is enabled in turn Windows feature on or off section under program section of control panel. The second thing we need to make sure is the virtualization option is enabled in our BIOS setup. How we will check that? We have to check the performance tab under the task manager to make sure this is enabled. If it is not enabled, then please go to your BIOS setup and enable the virtualization option. After enabling both of this option, then the installation of WSL or setting up WSL is straightforward. Just open a command prompt as administrator from the start menu and then type the command WSL --install -d Ubuntu. So we are installing Ubuntu distribution of Linux operating system. This is one of the distribution from Linux operating systems. So we are going to install Ubuntu because Ubuntu comes default with Windows. While setting up WSL, the system will ask you to configure a username and password. So you can provide any username and password. It does not need to match with your Windows username and password because this username and password, whatever you are providing, is for your Linux machine. Because Linux is running as virtual machine on your Windows machine. So it should be a separate username and password. As I said earlier, you should be able to access Windows file system like C drive and D drive on your Linux environment. In order to access that, please navigate to /mnt directory of Linux environment because all the Windows file systems are made available through this mount point. Yeah, so you have completed the WSL setup.